All right, Austin, you have a
super briefly.
Yeah,
I'm gonna mention this only because people email me and like tweet at me like, did you see there's a new Gundam show coming?
So you have Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans.
That's the name of the show.
It is. It's actually I think it uses the word teketsu, which is a historical Japanese term. That
they should stop giving those orphans so much iron because that's not good for them. That's
too much is not great.
You can die of that.
They're iron-blooded. Like they're
The name of this could be Super Briefly. Gundam Iron, but like that works too.
That does. I've seen it. People sending it to me. Thank you for sending it to me. I
Debo.
I was awake when they sent it.
Wait, what does Debo have to do with this?
Oh,
Gibo.
Gundam Iron.
You started talking about Friday there
right.
for a second.
Yeah.
So this is another side universe.
Well, yes, it takes place on Mars, like years after a terrible cataclysm, a big war, and it's like there's like teen soldiers.
And so the Gundam universe does like multiverse stuff. Right?
Yeah, there was like a core universe for Gundam for a long time. Called the Universal Century.
Yeah.
And that's like what the original show was in, and then some of its sequel shows and side shows. The good stuff. And then there was a bunch of side stuff like Gundam Wing,
G Gundam, Unicorn Gundam.
Unicorn is back in UC, and it's really good.
It is?
Are you going to shadily know everything about Gundam or what?
Yeah, we can't.
Not shadily. I don't know. No, I don't know.
He doesn't know. He can't do the dive. But Vinny did tell me the other day that he owned a bunch of Gundam models.
I mean, I still do. They didn't go
that's fine. That's cool. That's cool.
And like, and not just own them, but like own them in production order of the fictional production history.
So this is what Austin and I were talking about. Like, the reason I like this older version of Gundam was it was very much like they built Gundams like tanks, right? It wasn't like superhero Gundam. It wasn't like okay. So I'm gonna say Gundam a lot. But just insert
you already
anything.
have.
Okay, so insert anything else you want here.
Star Wars works here.
In some of the other Gundam series, like Gundam Wing, right? It would be like these mobile suits that were super special, right?
Yeah, like they were like superheroes. They really were
superheroes. And then this other one
of a kind. They all had special abilities. One of them could like turn invisible. One of them had a flamethrower, dragon arm.
Yeah, like that stuff.
Right. I'm with you.
And so like in this other one, in Universal Century, it was more of like production line. Like, hey, we build these things as tanks, and the reason they had them as tanks was because they had developed this technology that could jam radar. They had these fields. I forget the exact
Minovsky particles.
Could jam radar, so they couldn't do long distance space combat anymore. So they couldn't like do long range like naval battle space combat because they couldn't fire those distances with missiles and stuff. So they had to get in close and use like swords and stuff. And how to get in close, you got to build a suit and an armor, and it kind of there was like a whole story around it. And so all these guys just built these suits. So I liked you can go through and they're named like hey, here's the Gauf, and here's like the Gauf
Zaku
version 2 and Zaku 2 and 3, and I really enjoyed that. Like you can look at like the product. It's almost like looking at the M16, right? Like how did we get here and here and here?
You could like see like well this later suit has these qualities from the previous one. They did a really good job.
Yeah, and like the special suits would be like there's this guy Char who would just take this stock suit then paint it red and
right. And then the room would be like, oh man, it goes 3 times faster than everybody else. We're like, does it, or is it just red?
And he'd be like the Red Baron kind of style.
Exactly.
Anyway,
and those stories were those sorts of low power, interesting things where like it wasn't it spent as much time focusing on like the Luke Skywalker analogs as it did the Han Solos and like the kind of lower power.
He had this whole series that was like the ground team stuff, and
it's really great.
Anyway,
so this new one, I think it's going to speak to me because it seems like it's going to be more of the stuff I like of like low power stuff, and also the core plot is like they find this Gundam, but it's just parts, and they start building it up from other parts from other machines.
So remember you telling me about this, and what I really wanted once you told me that was like I wanted the Enemy Mine style Gundam thing where it's like you get a guy stranded on a plane. You guys have seen Enemy Mine, right?
Oh yeah.
Terrifying movie. You've never seen Enemy Mine? You're shaking your head.
I've never seen it.
I don't think you can see it now.
What, like I can't handle it?
No, nobody can handle it. There was a very 80s, 90s qualities about that movie that
is like the most 1987 movie ever made.
Yes.
It might be. It's what's his face and what's his face.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah.
It was Lou Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid, I think.
Dennis Quaid.
Okay.
Yes.
And Lou Gossett Jr. is an alien.
And what an alien!
What an alien! I'm gonna spoil the movie here.
Spoilers for Enemy Mine.
It was already in my queue.
Okay, I'm gonna spoil it here. They're warring species for a long time.
Enemy Mine.
Stranded on this other alien planet. Lou Gossett Jr. has a kid.
Okay.
Zebes,
I forget.
That sounds right.
and then dies.
Yeah.
And then what's his face has to raise the kid. And then this is like near the end. This is almost like the third act. And then the kid gets hijacked by human slavers, gets stolen by human slavers. And then he has to go in, and it's all like, it's basically a racial tale that like, comes to a head in this like slaving compound, and they get captured.
Right.
And does it get liberated at the end?
I think he gets liberated.
There are fucking meteors that come down. They got to use these like hermit crab shells to build their house and live together.
That's the bit that you want for Gundam. You want the Gundam show where it's just like they're stuck out there and have
and they have to build this robot.
There was a Next Generation episode that did a riff on that whole plot.
It's it's
The
not
one where Geordi and the Romulan are on the hostile planet, and they have to like work together.
I was thinking of the Darmok one.
But that's also so that one's more friendly. That's not a warring race thing. But like in that one, it's like Geordi is completely blind on the planet. The other guy's legs are all fucked up, so they have to like work together to get on the planet.
Okay,
yeah. I like that one.
Zebes, man.
Zebes.
The way that
Darmok is the best.
Darmok
shit,
is
like,
the best shit.
Yeah,
if you watch one Star Trek Next Generation episode, watch Darmok.
That's the one that won the Hugo Award, right?
Yes, and it's the one that a few weeks ago I said, "Oh, I know a really interesting article about memes." It's about that episode of Star Trek and memes.
Okay.
Moving on, Dead Island 2.
I've been thinking about that for a long time, actually.
Well, I will tie this Gundam quickly back into video games for a second. So we quick looked, what the heck is
Rise of Incarnates.
which you said was very much, but maybe a poor imitation of.
Well, it's made by the same people who made Gundam Extreme Versus,
There you go.
which is a big deal in Japan.
Right.
And Gundam is not a big deal here, but that core engine and style of fighting game, they're like, maybe Americans will like that. Westerners will like that if we...
Which you really like.
If we
I like that
un-Gundam
basic style. If we un-Gundam it and kind of give it some like weird mythological, like X-Men style thing.
Right.
And it's like, it's a little too slow and not as deep as the Gundam stuff is, because they understood like, oh, it's a new audience. They're not going to know how to deal with all of the weird intricacies of this. So they kind of dumbed it down a little bit.
Quick look up on the site.
Quick look up on the site. Check that out. We also do a little bit of Gundam talk at the end.
We do, as is the case.